Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to join with Hansen with the documentary Trans Heaven, Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at the clip.
New Hope was mostly middle-aged gay men. And I think in the beginning, we were infringing on that atmosphere a little bit. And I kind of took pride in that in a weird kind of way. Like, F that, we're gonna be seen, right?
It kind of grew with the social media explosion in the mid-2010s. More and more people started finding out about it, and not only just in the region, but nationally.
That goes back to New Hope being the perfect place, too, geographically.
You got people that would come from as far away as Montreal and Toronto.
Hansen, so nice to meet you in person, do this and share the space together, and welcome to NewFilmmakers LA. We'll never let you go. Thank you so much for bringing this documentary. We love this, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's the story of when hundreds of trans women used to take over this small town in Pennsylvania and throw these raucous parties. And the film really is about how the parties both changed them and the town over the course of the 10 years that it ran for. It's a really special documentary. It's also partially animated, which is super fun.
Yeah. You did a great job. I mean, oh my goodness, the animation was amazing. I mean, how did you discover this story?
So I've been doing most of my work in that region of Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Before living in Los Angeles now, I was living in Philly, so not too far from where New Hope is. New Hope's kind of halfway between Philly and New York. And so when I was working on another film in that region, I was talking to a friend of mine about, I really want to do a story about New Hope. It's such a special, unique place. It's a really interesting, weird, queer town. And they were like, well, have you heard of these parties? And I'm like, no, I've never heard of these parties. And she then proceeds to tell me about these parties where hundreds of trans women would come and descend on the town and take it over. And I'm like, well, hundreds of trans women taking over a small town. I mean, of course I'm there.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started working on the film. And it was just magic ever since.
I just love watching your film from the very first minute. Like, it really was special to firstly discover this and experience this, and what an experience it must have been to be there and get that vibration. So once you kind of heard about this, how did you go about then sort of developing story and subjects, and how was that research, that development part of the documentary?
Well, I mean, we talked to, so many women who attended these parties. And what quickly became apparent was that every single woman that we talked to had a life-changing, life-altering experience at one of these parties. So it became kind of very hard to figure out who to feature in the film, because so many people had such life-changing experiences. So many people had such great stories. What it came down to was Jennifer, who is the party's founder. As she did found the party, she was perfect as somebody to feature in this film. So she provided a lot of really great insight and history. And then we met Carly. And the first time I met Carly, I was just a phone call. And I remember picking up the phone and being like, hey, thank you so much, Carly, for making time to talk to me. I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience. And then for the rest of the time, she just talked. And I did not say a single thing. I was just sitting there taking notes. She was so gripping, so engaging, and her background as a journalist really allowed her to really set the scene really, really well. And from that moment on, I knew that she had to be in the film in some way. So that's how we sort of developed and found our characters, and then developed the film from their stories. And then that's when we found our animator. We were a part of a special program, the Outfest Traverse 32 grant that we have got back when we first started the project. And we were very fortunate to have the grant fully fund the film, but it was also, there was a stipulation, you had to make the film in 6 months.
Wow.
And for a film, anyone who knows animation in film is a quite tedious process. And so we had to find an animator really quickly who could work under that timeline and who really understood the story. We were really grateful to find Pamela Chavez, who is our animator. She's Bay Area based, but really awesome. And she immediately got it and was working with us to really develop some of those animated moments to fill in the gaps. Because unfortunately that space doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And there's not a lot of video from it. So we really had to work with what we had, which was the photography.
Wow, I mean, it feels like a sort of moment in time, doesn't it? And it's incredible how it lasted 10 years, and you'd almost want this whole experience to carry on, right? You know, up until we need it now. Obviously, we need this little town even more now, honestly. But what kind of, you know, again, when you documentary filmmaking, there's always such a learning discovery as you go on the journey, things that you're surprised at that maybe you're experiencing, or even stories that surprised you. You know, what was it like for you, you know, as a filmmaker, developing a story? You know, was there some sort of, you know, did a narrative move in a direction you didn't know? Was there stories that you were surprised at, or even production-wise?
It's an interesting question. I mean, the whole thing was very surprising. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm not a trans woman, and I had no idea these parties existed. And you know, a lot of my younger trans friends had no idea these parties existed either, because a majority of the people who were attending these parties were trans women in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And so I think what was most surprising to me was the ability, the impact that they had on the town itself. Because what happened is like when the parties first started, as Jennifer says in the film, she's like, she got a lot of strange looks. The people didn't really know what to make of this group of folks. And this was very early on. I mean, this was like right when like Caitlyn Jenner was coming out and started to hit, the mainstream, and people were still kind of grappling with what trans meant, especially in small towns. And so when this big group of gorgeous women came showing up in their town who were dressed in different styles and very early in their coming out journeys, there were a lot of people who were uncertain of what to make of them. But it quickly became apparent as I talked to some of the bar owners and the people who used to, we talked to a lot of bartenders that didn't make it into the film. And they were very clear that like by the end, they were looking forward to these weekends. They were their favorite weekends, you know, and not just because, as Carly says, they tip well, but also because they were just such great and generous people who were so warm and welcoming and kind to everyone around them. And it was just such a welcome presence in the town. And I think the town really became more trans inclusive for a big part because of these parties.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, you know, goodness me, it has an effect. But I think it was just, you know, as I always find, you know, in queer spaces and for myself and for when I'm in spaces, this the empathetic level that arise with these, you know, amazing, you know, women. It was really, really special to kind of see just how they, you know, nice to hear they all had transformative experiences for them, you know, which was brilliant. You know, I can't help but feel the joy from this experience and the joy that this, and I also can't help thinking, I wish this was still going on, you know. And how does it feel making this documentary for you, you know, kind of, you know, in a time when, you know, it's a really tough time for queer community, particularly the transgender community. How is it putting a film out in this kind of climate for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, even in the last 2 years as we were making the film, it's gotten, the environment, it feels different, you know. I mean, trans folks in America, in small town America, have been struggling for a very long time to be seen, to be accepted, to get access to basic health care. But obviously this moment is all of the things that trans community was dealing with 2 years ago are exacerbated.
Yeah.
But when we set out to make this film, our goal was really not to make a film about trauma. Our goal was to tell a story of trans history that was about joy.
Yeah.
So many moments in trans history that get preserved or that historians feel are necessary to preserve are about these intense moments of strife you know, these intense moments of, you know, of advocacy. And those moments are so important to preserve, but we also need to preserve parts of our history that are about joy and thriving and making space. And as I was saying in a screening in Philly, you know, we need to celebrate our party elders as much as we need to celebrate our activism and political elders.
Absolutely. I think that's a really, and I'm so glad because you really did for this, just celebrate trans joy, you know, and a moment of trans history. And actually, I mean, obviously at New Filmmakers LA, we you know, we celebrate so many queer stories throughout the year, but as you know, in our festival this month, you know, it's all queer film, and then we've got you know, particularly got a celebration of transgender storytelling. How does it feel being part of an environment when it's like all kind of focused from this, you know, larger community?
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I'm so happy that we got programmed within this block, because I really feel like this film is a love letter to trans community in a way that I really want to make sure that, you know, this film in particular ends up in front of trans audiences, because it's just, it is, we need more joy. I think we do. I think there's, and we need more parties. And I think this film sort of has a little bit of both. As any activist who fought during the AIDS epidemic will say, you know, during our most intense times, we also partied the most intense, because it was, you needed the balance. You cannot just be, you know, advocating. You also need to be taking care of yourself and taking care of community and partying. And it's good to be reminded that this was happening for decades, you know, that this was happening since, you know, well before these parties even started, but that this was happening in small towns, even, you know, over the last several, you know, decades.
That's such a really good point about just, you know, mixing, you know, fun and experience and togetherness and community. Like all of that needs to be balanced out with, you know, all the other things that we have to deal with, you know, as well on top of that. Honestly, I'm so glad that you made this film, Hansen. I'm so glad that you put a spotlight on this town and this people, and from Philly as well, especially. Where are you taking us next? Where are you taking us next in your storytelling?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, for this film, this is like, we're wrapping up our festival run. Which, I mean, it feels so great to finally screen it in Los Angeles after almost a year of being on the road, almost all around the world with this film. You know, because we're based here, most of our team is either based here or in Philly. So, and we just had our Philly premiere last week. So it just feels like we are.
How did that go? Was that good?
It was amazing. Oh, it was amazing. It was really awesome. And now, so we're sort of wrapping up our festival journey. We're looking for a permanent home for it on either a streaming service or online. We're still talking to some folks, so fingers crossed.
Amazing.
And then we have some new projects in development too.
Fantastic. Well, we're super proud to have you as part of New Filmmakers LA. You've done so much incredible work with this project, and we're ready for wherever you take us next. But thank you for shining a light on these incredible trans community of Philly. And we're looking forward to many more, but we're looking forward to your screen this weekend. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Hansen, everybody.